Selecta Maestro from AfroBeats Takeover, Mr. Producer, Mr. Events Organiser, #1 DJ coming up on the whole Afrobeat scene. But do you know what? The man has so much going on, and so I'm going to swing it over. I'm going to discuss a few things. How you doing?
Yeah, all good, man. All good.
Good. Thanks for making the time today. Really, I wanted to first of all catch up with you. I mean, I'm not, like at the moment you seem to have so much going on, and I realise it's just weird how time flies and how long you've really kind of been in this whole game all of a sudden, and really wanted to look at what's changed and where things you feel are going, you know. And so first of all, let's start off with the name, as I'm always curious about how people come up with their names. Well, Selecta Maestro.
The term selector is actually a title given to DJs, right? And Maestro is just, that's my musical side. Right, okay. So, Selecta Maestro.
We just put it together. That's
it together, yeah. And I think initially the name is Maestro. Do you understand?
Right, okay.
To differentiate myself from the other ones, I had to add a little twist to it.
Right,
so
okay.
That's how I put Selecta together.
No problem.
Yeah.
With regards to how long you've been in the industry, you know, because I mean, I've known you for the longest. Were you like that big people?
As small as this, as small as that.
Back in the NES Mario World days around the house. So
yeah.
What made you decide to go down this route?
My journey into music started, and I'm talking before Selecta Maestro. I'm talking, say 2001, during the garage grime era.
Okay.
I had my own sound. We used to do events. We made music. And yeah, that was my initial start. That was like the training ground. The crew was called OTP, on the premises. Okay. And we played at we played at bookings locally in the city. Had a few bookings outside London, but then after that I started doing my own events. Right. Okay. And I had a night called Addictive, if you remember. Yes. Yes. Do indeed. But then around that time I started getting tired of the scene because it wasn't really doing anything for me, so I took a lot of time out. So I was safe between 2006 and 2009, early 2010. No, say 2009. 2009 I came back into the scene, but I started just, I was seeing what was what. I didn't really jump into it first hand. Was that because you felt you've been out of it for a long time, or? Yeah, so I was kind of just preying to see what was going on. Yeah. And I used to follow my older cousin to his bookings. Yeah. Eventually I'd end up hosting for him. Before I realised that I was on the decks. Right, okay. Just like that. And then we started doing a radio show together on Bounce FM. Right, okay. Bounce FM, yeah. It was R&B hip hop. But I think I went to Ghana in, what year was it? 2010. 2009, the year we went together, and then 2010 after that. And I saw a shift in the music scene. Right, okay. Because you know, hip life at the time. Yeah. And I think they were quite into the whole Western style music as well. Yes, very much. So that change happened around that time there. And then I started thinking to myself, right, I need to support my people, to put them on the map through music. So I think when I came back in 2010, 2011, I just said, this is what I want to do. Afrobeat is what I'm pushing, is what I'm representing as a DJ. And before that, Maestro was already my name, so then I just kind of just ran with it, really. Okay. But in saying, because 2010, and that shift is happening, as you saw in Ghana, when you came back here, obviously the scene wasn't really there. You know, I think we were still pushing a lot of hip hop and R&B and bashment, and some people would have been into the house, some people would have been into the garage still. But how did you find it difficult initially introducing that sound? Yeah. Or how did you feel like when you were playing out and then you put this on? I remember there was a party once where I played, and bear in mind people knew the band, but I was playing a few tracks for him one day called The Whole Party Stood Still. That's the kind of thing I was going through. But I didn't care, because it made me just more determined to put Africa on the map. Right, okay. For music. You know, but it's not nice having, Having people stand still is not nice. It's not nice. It's not nice.
Especially as a DJ. So and that didn't put you off to give people what they wanted. Nah.
At the end of the day, I knew that at some point people would be in demand for this music. I knew it. And if you even look at, say, reggae music, it had the similar kind of how do I put it? It started off the same way.
Like had a stigma attached and
a big stigma. Like, because sometimes it's, you know, there were some parts they saw it as island music. Used to get mocked the same way, but then eventually you had people from the era of, say, Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Gregory Isaacs, and so on, who pushed the music far to the point where the world had to accept it. Hip hop, same thing.
Yeah.
So with African music, it's been around longer than people think.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's been around.
It's funny. I mean, do you, in terms of the way it's been accepted now, because I had this conversation with a friend not so long ago where it was almost as if certain people growing up wasn't proud to be African and they would never admit they're African and they're from America or they're, but no, you're from Africa. And obviously society's view at a certain stage was like quite negative for whatever reason. Yeah. You know, and me personally, I've always been happy and proud of whoever I am. I could be from Mars, I'll tell you I'm from Mars. But where a lot of people wasn't accepting of that, do you feel that also played a stigma in terms of African people actually allowing others to enjoy their music and push AfroBeats? Because I know Choice FM for a long time would put on AfroBeats when it started becoming popular, and it was after 12 o'clock at night on the graveyard shift. Then next minute they put it into prime time. You know, so what I mean, how do you think that's now impacted on not only society's view, but even young Africans being proud of who they are and where they're from?
You know, it's funny because I remember when I was in primary school, so I'd have been about 7, 8 at this point. This is before I was ever taken to Ghana, and you're hearing this for the first time ever worldwide. Exclusive. Obviously, because I hadn't been to the motherland yet, so my visions of it I had all kinds of visions in my head as a child, especially. So the Africa jokes, I heard them, and I remember I was a 7-year-old. So I remember telling people, yeah, I'm Bayesian. I've said it, but then I went to Ghana when I was 10.
Right. Okay.
Again, I went to Ghana with him in '93 as well on the same plane.
You did.
You know, and I was there for a good couple months, like almost a long while. I can't remember how long exactly. And then when I came back, I swear down, no one could tell me anything about where I'm from. Nobody. So that pride was in me. But going back to people in general, I think Africans took on society's views of them, the negative views. They allowed it to kind of consume them. Yeah. And I'm trying to find the words correctly. I was talking about this to someone the other day. Yeah, we bought into society's perceptions of us and allowed it to kind of affect us. Do you understand? Which, I mean, I can't really criticise it because it started dying down even at the time when I was growing up. Yeah. But say, for example, like our elder siblings and our aunts and stuff and uncles who came here, they bore the brunt of it.
Yeah. I don't think they were bothered.
They weren't bothered
at all. They still had that old school mentality, and it is.
Well, our elders.
I think the younger ones, yeah. When we were growing up,
it didn't bother us. You know what I mean? And I think now things have shifted where the youth now can just, you know, for example, I was walking around here the other day, and then I heard a white boy playing Saka the You Gonna Kill Me on his phone.
Serious?
I was thinking, you'd have never heard this before. Never.
Ever.
Never.
And it's funny because, you know, you go on YouTube and you see how white people are really accepting of Afrobeats and they're doing the Ozonto dance and all this stuff. Yeah. You know.
That just, I think it was, you know, 20 years ago you'd have never seen it. Never.
No.
And I mean, even for example, for us to even hear African music, we had to be in our homes or the functions.
Yeah.
You know, I remember even Caribbean people at that time when I was growing up. So like in dancehall, the big guys then were like Super Cat, Shabba, Ninja Man, Spragga Benz.
And you would hear them all over, even on TV.
On TV, people come talk about them in schools. We could have come to school talking about Daddy Lumba.
No.
Because they were like, who? They'll just shut you down quick, you know? So, and obviously now, even with my radio show, I'd say the majority of listeners I have are Caribbean.
Yeah.
Big. A lot of them are Caribbean. So, and these are probably the same ones who before would have shut down any notion to do with Africa.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you've got to be the catalyst to spark the power shift. That's what I believe.
I feel like the music's really pushed a long way.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, now with the floodgates open, you got so many other DJs who are going to come through.
Oh, yeah.
You got so many ones who are now aspiring, whether it's even from the music perspective. But before we get on to those who are now coming through, what would be your advice to those who are considering, do you know what, I want to get into DJing and I want to DJ AfroBeats? Because AfroBeats, do you feel it's a here and now thing, or do you feel it's something that's going to evolve? Because we went from high life to hip life, and you could had so many name connotations before it became then AfroBeats. And funny enough, recently to Ghana, I realised hip life is still going.
Yeah.
You know, so how do you feel in terms of AfroBeats if somebody wanted to come in now?
I want to go back a bit to the what you said about it being here and now.
Yeah.
If you look at Africa from a political standpoint, economical, majority of the states have been independent. And I say majority because a lot of them are still colonised, but we won't even go into that. Yeah. That's another discussion. But majority of them have been independent from late 60s. And even, so from late 60s up until the present day, no, from late 60s up until the 90s even, sorry. The country, most of the continent, say Ghana for example, weren't doing too well economically, financially, for the music scene to really flourish. Yeah. There's always been artists.
Yeah.
There's always been artists. Because I've still got the vinyls. But it's one of those ones where you had two types of musicians back then. Guys who did it for the love, and guys who were doing it to speak out against certain things that was happening around them.
Like politics.
You understand? Politics. But then it was a slow process in changing. And not just, this is Ghana and the continent in general, you understand? So from that standpoint, that's why I feel personally, from an economic and a financial point of view, that's why the music didn't grow as it should have.
Right, okay.
And the people didn't have they weren't making the music to really sell. They were doing it because of something it was an outlet for them. You understand? Probably with the exception of Fella, because he had the best he had the blueprint.
Yeah. And he's very international.
Very international, highly, and he was international at a time when music wasn't accepted in Africa as something to do. You understand? But so coming forward now, as the continent has developed, so has everything else around it. Yeah. So that's why the music has evolved. Right. That's just my point of view. You understand? Now with AfroBeats being here and now, I believe it's the future.
Okay.
You're gonna see it. You're gonna see it everywhere. You're gonna see it, not just in the christenings and the weddings and the funerals, as you know. It's gonna be on the. More people will take the charts on. More people will go international. More shows will get sold out. Tours. I feel that personally because. But how that needs to be sustained is by artists putting out music that's worthy of being international.
Yeah.
And most importantly, what I feel is, I feel that we need to start being in control of our own music.
Yeah, definitely.
Because what's happening with hip hop is a real sad situation to me. Because there was a time when artists was putting out music that they wanted to put out. Now,
it's whatever you're being told to.
Do you understand?
And it's literally being diluted. But then, do you not feel this is what's going to happen with AfroBeats? Because I think there was a time when let's use garage as an example. And if you was a garage purist, you know, you would take it so far back, and then as soon as it became commercial, then you started having a lot of vocalists jumping on it, and then you had people singing on it. Then you started going into the hip hop crossing with the garage. So like people like the So Solid started coming into it. When initially garage was just the beat. It was all about the beat, and then it started evolving. Then you get into like the Shanks and Bigfoots, and it starts diluting for the mass market. Yeah. Afrobeats already having a dance vibe to it, and it's feel good music that makes you want to get up and jump. Do you not feel that now that it's gone mainstream and it's gone mass market, yes, there's a room for growth, but how are we going to sustain, or how the artist going to sustain it before it kind of explodes or implodes? Because if
more labels who specialise in distribute African music the way it should be distributed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, because once these big labels get into it, it's over.
Yeah.
You know, I'll say it anyway.
Big labels were the problem with music in the first place.
Yeah, yeah, it always has been. Yeah.
Company back in what was it, the early 90s?
Yeah.
When they jumped in.
Yeah, so I think more, either if it's one label or several labels that specialise in distributing our music to our people and the masses, we'll be alright.
I'm going to touch on something you just said about big labels. So let's take D'banj being signed by Good Music. And apparently that was a big move, but now the words and the whispers are it's not going all too well.
Which is always going to be the case, really. I mean.
And do you feel once again it's because you're now being dictated to how to deliver your material?
Yeah.
As an artist.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not going to even slate him too much, because he is one of the, if you're talking about the new school style of African music, D'banj is...
He's clear.
Clear is even an understatement, you understand? You know, he's put in his work, and, you know, but the good music thing, I was never really for it, because, I mean, respect to Kanye for taking faith in him, but
I mean, I was a bit surprised at first, and I was like, really?
But I mean, even D'banj was one of those artists who had, if that was a money move, he didn't need to do it.
Yeah. Because
he had money before Good Music. You know, and I think he should have really been focusing on building the ones around him, which he's starting to do now, because I think he's got a label and he's put a couple artists on.
Okay.
You understand? But I think had he done that originally, like from the start, instead of going to Good Music, who knows?
Okay. I'm still going to come back to the DJs at the moment, but I'm going to ask you, because we just touched on D'banj, and I know initially, like jollof rice, Nigerians want to claim that they did it. Ghana always said we had it. Then you had the Ozonto, now the Nigerians want to say it was their stuff. Ghana says no, it was actually ours, and you had Sarkodie trying to say he invented it, which he didn't, because it goes back to a tribe in the north through, I believe, back into like the 60s and beyond. But do you feel because I see the Nigerian Afrobeats, I see their videos, and they have such a diversity from the Two Faces through to P Square, whose styles are very different, but it's still classified as Afrobeats. I'll call P Square a bit R&B personally. But what do you feel differs them to Ghanaians or other African countries that are doing Afrobeats, and do you feel that that's going to create enough diversity? Should it be Afrobeats is Afrobeats, or is it going to get to the point of almost like house music, where you've got South African house music and you just got everybody else?
Well, if I'm going to be honest with you, Nigeria's music industry is razor sharp.
Yeah. In
the sense that they make music that reflects them, and they invest money
in them,
into the artists, into the into the business. You understand?
Because their artists seem to be making a lot more money compared to
ridiculous.
If you were to compare them to say a Ghanaian artist.
I'll get to that in a minute. Oh God! I mean, yeah, they're razor sharp right now. I mean, because Wizkid can tour worldwide.
Yeah, and he's only what, mid 20s, I believe.
Yeah. Burna Boy is the next guy to watch out for from there as well. Yeah, that's my.
He's like their big thing at the moment.
You know, and I mean, yeah, their business, their industry is razor sharp because if you look at the videos now, it's just like you just feel like you'd be even surprised that it's even made in Africa. No, I'm not surprised, but there's someone who has a certain view of Africa. Yeah, might look at that and say, you know, eyes wide open, everything. So,
with Ghana, the cars and the houses.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So.
Ghana, and I was chatting with shout out to Tumpa, my brethren as well. We were talking the other day about this, and with Ghana, what you have when Azonto was big, everyone was doing it. Yeah. And Sarkodie is kind of right when
some people are still doing it.